Hi, St John Fishers. Here's another Friday video with Father John coming to you. Last week we had a look at the idea of God as the Father. This week I thought we'd look at Jesus as both Son of God and God at the same time. How can he be the two at the same time? Well, what got me thinking of this was this lovely little icon I have of the Holy Family, of the baby Jesus, Mary and Joseph here. You know, I picked this up on a youth pilgrimage that I was chaplain to over the summer just gone. We went out to Portugal, and at the shrine at Fatima I found this lovely image. And you don't often see Saint Joseph depicted as a young father, but there he is in this really lovely little image as a young dad. And I don't know, something in me just said, buy that, and so I did. But I was thinking of how best to explain how this little baby here can be both Son of God and God at the same time. Well, it's important to remember that the Church doesn't just make up her beliefs, and popes don't wake up on a damp Tuesday and think, well, today I'm going to make sure that all Catholics believe that up is down and black is white. That's not the way it works. These things are carefully examined and studied and thought through over years and decades and sometimes centuries before we arrive at what we believe is the truth of our faith. And it's the same with this idea of Jesus as both Son of God and God. It was finally settled by the Church at a meeting called the First Council of Nicaea, which took place in the year 325 AD. It got together various bishops and important theologians and mothers superior and to really work out, is Jesus Son of God and God, or is he just Son of God? And they went back to the scriptures, they went back to the Bible, and this one is not so much a case of using logic to explain faith or finding faith through logic. This is more finding faith through translations from one language to another. So they went to prologue of the Gospel according to John. So, Gospel according to John, chapter 1, verse 1. You've probably all heard this 100 times. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things came into being. Not one thing came into being except through him. And then later down we get in verse number 14, then we get the Word became flesh. He lived among us and we saw his glory. So the Word became flesh, that's the little baby Jesus that we saw in the really lovely icon there. Now, how is that little baby Jesus also God? It's a question of looking directly back at the Greek language that the Gospel was first written in. And the words, which translate as the Word was God, that's a Greek word that is homoousios. The Word was God. Now, if you change one letter, if you change a single iota, which is an old-fashioned expression we have in English, but it comes from this idea of mistranslating the Bible. If you add an iota, a Greek I, into homoousios, you get homoiousios, and the word was like God. But because church men and women have been studying the ancient languages to work out exactly what is the precise meaning of this word versus that word, we arrived at the conclusion that people who had homoiousios have added, changed an iota, they've changed the meaning of the word. They've not got back to what St. John left us in his Gospel. So we can believe that Jesus is both Son of God and God because of that Greek phrase homoousios, and the word was God, not the word was like God. So there's not every school that gets ancient Greek thrown at them on a Friday afternoon, but I think you guys will manage this one. And next week we'll try and unpack what it means for the Holy Spirit to also be God, and perhaps what exactly is the Holy Spirit. But having thrown some Greek at you, that's enough for now, and I'll see you all at Mass on Sunday. God bless, and bye-bye.